Check this out. This is the EDC V Megalodon. It's a beast of a bottle opener and it doubles as a knuckle defense tool. It's named after the Megalodon, which is the biggest shark the world has ever known, the king of the seas. This thing is gonna be the king of your pockets with how hefty it is. It serves its purpose exceedingly well. The extra weight on it makes it super easy to just pop off any of those bottle caps. The hole in the middle is plugged by this Ultim hard plastic plug. And of course it doubles as a knuckle defense tool. Just kind of slip your middle finger in there and it sits really well in the hand. Look at that. No, but it's pretty cool. It's shaped as a shark's tooth, which is very on brand, right? It's got sort of like a Norse feel to it. It's made from a company called EDC Vikings Custom. It's made in Norway. So you're literally wielding Thor's knuckle defense tool. A really cool functional art piece coming out of EDC V's workshop. You can find this piece and its variant over on Urban EDC Supply's website. I'll leave links in the description below. What's up y'all, Ron Kwok here, and in a previous video I suggested that people buy a throwaway utility knife such as the Milwaukee Fastback and carry it for a while to see if they'll get mileage out of a knife in their daily kit before investing in something more robust like the Spyderco Para 3. Now while this remains true, along the way I learned that the Fastback is actually a really great blade. Back then I made the decision to carry the Gerber Prybrid as my daily work blade, and after having used it for 6 months, it's kind of making me rethink that decision and favor the Fastback. Let me explain. This is the Milwaukee Fastback. Now it is a little on the small side, so if you got those bigger hands, this might not be the best utility blade for you, but it's got an ergonomic handle, a clip on the back, and a release button here. You just have to depress it and whip it out. Whip it out. So I used, funny thing, I actually used to hold the button down and use my other hand to just open it up like this. But now I've discovered the Spyderco flick and all that stuff. So trying to come up with more efficient ways to do it. So thwip, and it's out. But anyway, the best feature about this thing is the removable blade, and it's super easy to do so as well. There's a little button here that you hold down, pull the knife out, pull the blade out, and depending on how much you've used the blade, you can either switch sides, put that blade back in, or swap it out for a completely fresh one. Hold the button down, push the blade in, and make sure that it's seated properly before using it. Then you're done. Now I'll explain why this is super important in a little bit, but it's very easy to change out the blade, no worries, and you're done. That's the Milwaukee Fastback. Now this is the Milwaukee Fastback 2. It's the bigger brother, and as you can see, it is a little bigger. Now this will fit your bigger hands for sure, and it's got the same features. It's got that whip action like this. It's got a bigger, more robust clip, and of course there's an added feature of a wire cutter that's embedded into the handle here. When the blade is recessed into the handle, a little bit of it is exposed, so you can put that wire in there and cut it. Okay, so this is curious. The button to release the blade is on the left side of this Fastback 2, while on the original Fastback, it's on the right side. This is the Gerber Prybrid. It's part utility knife, part pry bar, and it's got a few extra features as well. It's minimally sized, it's thinner than the previous utility knives that we've gone through, so it fits in your pocket a little better. For the utility knife, it's a sliding mechanism as opposed to a push and release. So you slide it to 2 different positions to expose the blade for use, and then one more time to expose the retention clip to switch out the blades. It also has a wire cutter function right here where it's the same thing, it exposes the blade while it's recessed into the handle so you can cut your wires. And on the other side, you'll have a pry bar, a bottle opener, and a hole here to attach a lanyard or a fob, whatever style you like carrying this thing. Now, onto the crux of the issue. You'll notice that I don't have a blade on here, and the reason being is I've had no problems using this up until very recently, and when it was time to switch out the blade, I couldn't get the blade reseated in the retention clip. In the previous 2 knives that we talked about, there was a button that you just press and you pull the blade out. Super easy, super quick, less than a second to use. This thing gives you a lot of, well, it gave me a lot of trouble. I don't know about y'all, but this retention clip, I'll show you in a different angle, but you have to really pull on it in order to get that separated in order to take the blade out. And all that really holds that blade together is one little dimple or depression in the retention clip. Over time, using your blade, depending on what you're using it for, if there's any amount of moisture in the work environment that you have, or if you're cutting a lot of boxes, it'll accumulate moisture or gunk from, packaging tape, cutting, slicing through. And eventually you're gonna wanna switch out that blade, which is fine, no problem. Utility blades are very affordable and easy to dispose of and switch out. The problem is that gunk, that moisture, that rust is gonna be accumulating here in this retention clip. And when you go to slide that new blade in, the problem for me was that I could not get that new blade reseated into the retention clip no matter how hard I pushed. And you shouldn't be pushing too hard because it's a blade you're handling, you know? You don't want to cut yourself as you're reloading this thing. It just wouldn't go into that final seating spot for the dimple to activate and for the retention clip to actually hold and retain the blade. So I ended up swapping it out for a Fastback while I figured out an alternative solution. And it turns out that I really didn't need an alternative solution. You know, for work, I don't want to use my more expensive knives. That's a topic for a whole nother video. You know, do you have your EDC knife for aesthetics, or do you need to have it for completely function? Or for most people, it's some of both. You know, it's a part aesthetic, a part function, and it's just up to the individual whether you want to err towards function or you want to err towards aesthetic and kind of save your knife. You're not using it as a daily beater. You want to use it, you know, when you're weekend warrioring out, you know, doing whatever. Long story short, the Gerber Prybrid for me was not practical in the long run. A few other gripes that I had with the pry bar after using it. The pry bar is pretty dull. It's not that sharp. And so depending on the precision you need to pry certain things, like whether it's a small little nail or whatever, you may not be able to get this under there. This is like a good 1.5 millimeters, maybe 2 millimeters in thickness. More often than not, I found myself in common scenarios where I couldn't get this under whatever it is I was trying to pry. So that was kind of like a, Another thing too is the sliding mechanism for the utility knife is pretty tough. Like, it sticks, you know what I mean? Y'all hear that, right? It's like grindy, sticky. So I don't particularly like that. It's not as easy as one of these thwip action release and sheath, you know what I mean? It's, whoa, I've been talking for 6 minutes. Holy, that's gonna be fun to edit. I don't know, it's just wasn't practical. It wasn't intuitive for me, and it presented more problems than it did solutions. After 6 months of using this thing, I think although it is more streamlined and more minimal and it looks cooler and it fits in your pocket a little better, I think in terms of the practicality and the sheer functionality that utility blades should have in general, for utility knives that are supposed to be affordable and easy solution to cut things, I think that it should definitely be more functional than it is like aesthetic or sacrificing other qualities of the blade to be aesthetic. For it to pose that many problems, I don't think that I would recommend it going forward unless they, you know, redesign it, do some changes to it. Yeah, I would definitely recommend the Fastback. It is a great solution, and you know, the utility blades are super easy to change out and I haven't had any problems with it. And it's cheap. The Milwaukee twins right now are $23 together, whereas the Prybrid is gonna be about 20 bucks just by itself. So keep that in mind. So to recap, the main knife in my everyday carry kit is gonna be right now the Civivi Baby Banter and the Spyderco Para 3 whenever I finish sharpening that thing and getting it back into my loadout. As for a daily beater work knife solution, I would either recommend the Milwaukee Fastback or the Fastback 2 depending on the size that you prefer and the size that your purpose calls for. Now for the blades themselves, I just went with something like this. It's just a 50-pack DeWalt carbide, and it's just disposable blades. This little bank that you swivel out and it dispenses a new one. For old blades, there's a little slit at the top where you can deposit your dull blades, and then you can just discard the whole thing when you're done with it. Super affordable, very easy, very practical. And that, my friends, is my verdict on the Gerber Prybrid after 6 months of daily use, as well as my ideas on utility knives and the role that they play in your EDC daily kit or daily workhorse loadouts. I hope you found that one useful. If you did, let me know by hitting that like button and subscribing if you haven't already. I know a lot of y'all haven't. Please do, it helps out the channel a lot. But of course, you know, do what you want, it's 2022. And check out that Megalodon. It is pretty awesome, and the link below is an affiliate link. So if you end up liking it, picking one up, using that link below, you'll be able to support me, and I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much, and until next time, live with purpose, y'all. Peace. You know, I can only take so many takes before I need some sort of liquid or water or energy drink or something to kind of restore myself and keep going. How's my voice sound? Is it better than last time? I think there's less allergy involved now, so I think I got more of a handle on it. It's not 100%, but it's better than before. Ugh. Working on my thumb muscles just doing this. On the flip side, whip. And I got these like a long time ago. I got these probably over half a decade ago, maybe even longer ago. So the design you'll find in stores today is slightly different, but the main features will be there. You know, the wire cutter, the loophole for the fob, the release button, that's all there, and the quick release swap out of the utility blade, that's all there too. So, bam. Look, I can't even rehearse that. Like, you know, with the Spyderco flick, you gotta practice that. It's like a thing, but this will just go. Oh God, this will go.